What is up, everybody? Today we're going to be giving you that obligatory bus tour of our newly finished Skoolie conversion. Can't wait to show you. Hi there, and welcome to Healthy Trails. I'm Steven.
And I'm Jackie, and together we created Healthy Trails to bring wellness to you.
We're traveling around the U.S. in our self-converted school bus and home on wheels to meet you where you're at and help guide you along your individual wellness journey. We can't wait to explore and adventure with you as we navigate together towards a happier and healthier life. So this is our home on wheels. It is a 1995 Thomas-built mini school bus. So we'll take you inside. All right, so as we come in, we've got our shoe rack right here. And then starting off in the kitchen area, we've got our stainless steel sink, which we got for a steal off Facebook Marketplace, along with a lot of our other appliances as well. I know the stove, the oven, and honestly, we got the bus itself off of Craigslist. So pro tip, if you are on a bit of a budget like us, absolutely maximize those secondhand sites like Facebook, Craigslist, etc. Anyway, back to the sink. We wanted as simple of a setup as possible to run this. So below the sink, we just have a 12-volt pump here, and one end of that tubing just goes straight into a 7-gallon water jug. From there, it then just comes up. So as long as you've got power going to that pump, comes out like that. So we wanted to try to eliminate as much of the plumbing as possible. We didn't want any of these super large holding tanks for the fresh water or the gray water collection. And we didn't want water lines running all over the bus as well. So we actually simplified it with those 7-gallon jugs as our fresh water tanks, as well as the gray water collection, which we have underneath the bus. So I'll show you that next. So this compartment on the outside of the bus was actually custom made for us. It was welded up, and inside it, we then store 2 more of these 7-gallon jugs that are hooked up to our drainage from both the shower and from the sink. So you can sort of see how we rigged that there. These can be pulled right out and emptied with ease and then put back. Down here, we also store an extra gasoline container, 2 more jugs of fresh water, and then in the very back we have 2 20-pound tanks of propane. So that's on a regulator, so that when one is empty, it will automatically trip to the other one, and that propane is then hooked up to our propane oven and stovetop. All right, so our oven, this is tucked away real nice in our custom cabinets that my grandpa, dad, and uncle built for us. And it actually hinges back. So there's just a piano hinge here on the back to get us access to our stovetop and oven. And what's really nice about these countertops as well is that they were completely free. These were another Facebook Marketplace find. It was actually an old table that someone was giving away for free. So we just cut it up. We resanded it, restained it, and now we have these awesome, nice countertops. We also added in a custom cutting board, so we've got extra counter space as well as a place to cut some foods up. Continuing on in the kitchen, we also have our spice rack, which we made here, and our drinking water here. Now, all of our drinking water in the bus is going to be from that Culligan tank or that Primo tank. You can get those at any Walmart, I know. And when they're empty, you can take them back in, get them refilled for a discounted price. We don't actually filter any of the water that you saw from the sink. So that is pretty much just washing dishes, washing hands, etc. We'll take those 7-gallon jugs into gas stations, campsites, wherever, and we aren't filtering it. We don't really know where that water is necessarily coming from, so we just thought this was an easier option for our potable water, just to have 2 of those 5-gallon jugs, so always having 10 gallons of fresh drinking water on hand at all times. So super easy, accessible way to use these Primo jugs for your drinking water. We found basically just a little rechargeable pump on Amazon that you can plug in and press a button and voila, right? We've got water. So cool option there that we used for our drinking water. And continuing on in the kitchen, we've got a few space savers here. One is our mason jars. These just screw right up to the top of the cabinet, come off and screw back on. And then to free up a little bit more space for our fruit, we've got the little fruit hammock. Nothing in there yet, but you can see how that'd keep the fruit a little bit riper, keep it up away out of the fridge. So another great option there. Last thing is this tabletop composter. Now, these composters gonna be an absolute necessity when your kitchen is your living space, is your bedroom. In these small conversions, if you are trying to limit the insects, flies, little critters that could possibly be getting in here or attracted to the stuff that's in here, food scraps going in there make a huge difference. So anything that you would not want in your traditional trash that we store underneath the sink, that has been a lifesaver. So you can actually just put a plastic bag inside it to avoid having to clean it out every time. And then it's got a charcoal filter on it to keep a lot of that smell out and seal it up while allowing a little bit more airflow through the vents. So great option there. I'll link that if you're interested as well. Which takes us to the last part of the kitchen, and that is the fridge. And it's actually not a fridge at all. It is a 3.5 cubic foot freezer. So through use of that freezer along with an external thermostat and an inverter, we found an awesome hack that I think is actually super energy efficient, super cheap, and it gives us way more space as a fridge than a lot of the other 12-volt fridge options that are super expensive. So I will probably do another video on that one, detailing that process a little bit more, but an awesome hack, and I can link those products that we used as well. So that takes us to our dining area / workspace. And in this space, we were actually able to utilize the original bus seats, and our neighbor built these awesome slip covers out of a blanket that we had. And then the table we built from an old countertop that we had. And yet another use for that Facebook Marketplace table. This one is a leg off of that table as well. So a lot of salvaged material here. As for lighting, we got our light fixture from a boutique place near my hometown. So this is powered from our AC power on the bus. And I'm sure, honestly, if you were handy, you could probably make something very similar to this with some fairy lights and some form of a container. But we wanted something a little bit more unique in our build for our lighting option as well. And the other lighting options that we have here in the back bedroom area, you can see behind me, we have the string lights, which we got on Amazon. Awesome mood lighting option. Really nice low light, sort of that warm light that we love at night. If we actually need some good functional lighting, I'll show you that next. So I rewired the electrical on the bus so that the switches that were here turn on the pre-existing lighting that was actually on the bus. So this switch then would turn on this overhead light, and the second switch turns on all of the other overhead lights throughout the bus. One other caveat here with that overhead lighting, if you opt for that option, these lights are significantly less efficient than any LEDs that you could replace them with. So if you do opt for the original lighting, I would definitely recommend replacing those. I haven't got around to doing it yet, but I do definitely plan on doing that. Which takes us to the bedroom area, which is honestly one of the parts of the build that I am most happy with, how it turned out. We have a tremendous amount of storage all the way around the upper part of the bed, as well as below the bed. And we're talking about a full queen size bed that can fit in the back of this. So I actually have probably 90% of my clothing, all my t-shirts, shorts, etc. here, just in a rollout tote. And then in the back we have a little bit more garage storage. And if that wasn't enough, we still have space for a little mini closet. So 2 drawers, and then all of our hanging clothes there. So definitely one of the nicer things about the Skoolie conversion as opposed to your van conversion or smaller vehicle. What we lack in stealth, driving ease, and parking, we certainly make up for in living space and storage. I know that was one of the areas of the build that we were probably most concerned about. Are we going to have enough storage? And honestly, between all the storage that we have over the bed, under the bed, in the closet area, and then not to mention we still have all of the overhead cabinets, all of those cabinets underneath the countertops, but there's also space that are going to be on basically all Skoolies, which one is over the cab. So we just have some books here right now, and we've got that same sort of a compartment here with some odd supplies. And then we also built a crate underneath the seats. So if you lift this up, you can see we've got even more storage space here. So one of the things that we were most worried about in having to downsize into an area like this, we actually have the most abundance in. The second worry that we, and I think a lot of other people that partake in these kinds of conversion processes worry about, is temperature control, not having AC. So I will talk about a few of the ways that we combat this next. So one thing you are going to definitely want to have is some form of reflective material in the windshield. We actually just cut up a roll of Reflectix, and I can link that, and we custom cut that then to just fit each of the windows, and that is anchored up just with some Velcro. So super simple way to eliminate the sun from coming in and actually reflect that out rather than absorbing that heat and turning this bus into a large greenhouse. So definitely recommend that. And the next thing as far as temperature control that you are probably going to want to have is maximizing airflow. So we actually have screens that we custom made for every single window, including the back door and the roof vent or escape hatch. So we made that frame that actually just gets screwed in, and you can take that out, and you've got all this good airflow, all this good sunlight coming in, and avoid all of the insects and critters from getting in. We also got something on Amazon that I think is super helpful. So our front door we have screened as well. So this is a magnetic screen that you can open up this door completely and just close that door off, that screen off. So all the airflow without the insects, which is super nice. And another thing that's super cool about our screens that are on the windows as well is that they are extra tinted. So not only do you get that airflow, but it actually eliminates a lot of that sun from coming in and heating up the inside of the bus as well, while actually giving you a little bit more privacy as well. It's harder to see in with those tints as well. So the last way to promote a little bit more airflow, which is a little bit tougher in an off-grid application like a Skoolie or van conversion, is fans, right? It's an absolute necessity. However, finding those fans that were both energy efficient enough to keep us sustained with the limited battery budget that we had, and not completely breaking the bank, was a little bit tougher. So after doing some research, we came across a company called Caframo, I believe, that specializes in this off-grid application. And they make some awesome products, specifically fans. And their best fan, or their most popular fan, is probably the Sirocco 2 model. However, that fan is over $100. And we actually got a different model that they made, their ultimate fan. And I have a hard time, guys, believing that this fan does not at least compete with that Sirocco 2. So I'll show you that. So we've got this up here in the bedroom area, and I know it's probably hard to tell, but this thing puts back some serious airflow. And it only runs on 7 watts power consumption on high. We run this thing all night along with our refrigerator and our 300 amp hour battery bank. It barely makes a dent in it. With 400 watts of solar, we're right back to 100% by 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. And that's in Wisconsin in the middle of fall. So awesome fan. I will definitely recommend that, and I will link that if you're interested as well. Oh, and I think the turnoff for this fan for a lot of people is that doesn't have any guards for the fan blades. But let me do a demo here. These are foam blades. It just stops, right? So you're not going to get hurt with this fan. Again, I'd highly recommend. So I'll definitely throw that link in the description. So one last thing that does keep it a little bit cooler in here, as well as give us a little bit more privacy, are all of our curtains. So all of our curtains are set up the same way, and they run on a metal rod that goes from one end all the way down. And you can see they're anchored up by just a little fastener there. So we bought all of the curtains, and then my grandma cut up each of them, custom cut it up, hemmed the fabric so that it would fit there, as grandmas do. And that's the same setup that we have for all of the curtains, including in the bedroom. We also have the privacy and darkening curtains that pull out like so. You can kind of see that. And then the same thing here on the other side if we are looking to get a little bit more privacy and cut the cab off from the rest of the bus. Yeah, so that's basically the curtains. I think one of the last things left that I have to show you is our electrical setup. So I won't go into a whole lot of detail on this video. I'll give you all sort of a brief overview because I'll probably do a little bit more in-depth video coming up in the future. But basically, we have a 300 amp hour battery bank, that is 3 100 amp hour batteries back here. This then is charged 3 ways. One is from the alternator from the starter battery using this, the isolator. The second is charging from shore power when we're plugged in from the battery charger. And then the third way is solar, so using the charge controller, which is hooked up to our 4 100 watt solar panels. So that's basically our system, and I knew next to nothing going into this process, so I feel fairly accomplished now having this system that can support everything we have completely off-grid. Big shout out to my girlfriend's dad, who had a lot more experience when it came to electrical work. So he helped me out a ton on this process. But yeah, that's basically the electrical system. And although not part technically of our electrical system here, it is actually hooked up with the bus itself. But one thing that I think is a necessity on any conversion, especially a larger bus, not that we have a huge bus by any means, but a backup camera. So we have this mounted to the dash, and one thing I would definitely recommend if you have the means is we have it on a switch. So when that switch is on, if you can see, hopefully it's not too bright, there we go, you can see the camera, and we have the camera mounted in such a way that's a little bit higher above the back door, which when you're driving in multiple lanes of traffic is actually super helpful just to get a little bit more of a gauge of what's around you. So I think it's absolutely necessary for backing up, but small perk, we're actually able to help it to help in the driving process as well. All right, so I think that takes us to our last part inside our conversion, which is our wet bath. So in here, we have basically a shower pan, which is the base of the flooring. And then on top of some all-purpose outdoor decking, we have our homemade composting toilet. And I will definitely be giving you guys another video specifically on toilets in general, and specifically our homemade composting toilet, because so far we have been loving it. So look out for that one as well. In addition to the composting toilet, we also have our homemade shower. So basically this is a weed sprayer. It's about 3 gallons. You can pump this up, and it's hooked up to just your standard shower head. And it's been working surprisingly well for us, actually. We got a chance to try this guy out on our first trip, and we probably got 2 to 4 showers out of one of those 3-gallon containers. You're able to heat that up on the stove if you want a bit of a hot shower as well. So super cool, cheap option if you're looking to build yourself a shower. I know they also have outdoor portable showers that probably would work just as well as, if you're not quite on that budget. And additionally, something else we looked into, if you don't have the space in your build for a shower, the solar showers are really nice as well. So basically super simple, just a bag that holds your water, it heats up in the sun, and using gravity you get a pretty nice shower from that as well. So lots of different ways to get your shower, but we're pretty proud of how ours turned out. So some other things inside our wet bath for lighting, we just have some battery operated lights here. So super simple solution. And we anchored in some towel racks both here and on the back of the door. Although those are great for our shower towels. If we ever do laundry, or maybe we went swimming, we just need some more additional space to dry things. These are super nice. So for saving space, the retractable clothesline, you can pull this out, attach it here, and voila, right? You've got a full clothesline in your bus. So yet another way to turn some dead space in the bus into some real practical, usable space. I think that about does it on the inside. So let's go ahead and take this party outside. So when we bought this bus, it actually looked like this. And after a ton of sanding, pressure washing, coat of primer, and 2 coats of paint, we finally have it looking like this. So above our extra storage compartment that I showed you earlier, we have the handicap door, which we actually repurposed into an outdoor table. So awesome for cooking outside when it's a little bit nicer. We have a separate propane stove that we bring out here, And it also gets a ton more of that airflow back in through our screened in window above the kitchen. Going around to the back, we have access to our garage storage from here. And again, this is all screened off, so we can open this back door up and get a lot of that airflow in. And if you open up here, now we've got that garage storage, some totes and such that are accessible from the back. We also have our shore power hookup here. And finally, the ladder up to my favorite part of the build. All right, so up here we've got our awesome, super nice deck. Really happy with how this turned out. And behind me, if you can see, we've got our 4 100-watt solar panels as well. And something super cool about this is that we actually anchored all of these solar panels together so it acts as one large panel that can be lifted up and tilted in either direction to be angled a little bit more towards the sun to be a little bit more efficient. So we might do another video on that one as well. All right, well, that about does it from me and the Skoolie conversion. Before I go, I wanted to first clarify any misconceptions that you might possibly have that I myself am in any way inclined to build any of the stuff that you saw today. As much research and planning as I did for this project, I would not know the first place in how to actually execute. So huge shout out to specifically my dad, who probably did 90% of the work on this thing, as well as my grandpa and my uncle, who donated several weekends to come up here and help us as well. So could not have done it without them. Jackie's dad, again, helping me out with the electrical, was a huge help. And yeah, that is about it. Again, if you saw anything in the video that you have questions on, comment. If you want to see anything in the future, comment that as well. And again, if you saw anything that was the dumbest thing, the stupidest thing that we should have never even attempted, let us hear it in the comments as well. Let's open that space up for some good constructive feedback to help everyone that's going through this process together. And look out for our videos in the future where I'll go into some more depth on specific components. Anyway, best of luck with the builds, and I'll see y'all soon.